What's up? Welcome back to Season 4 of Comic Book Nation, your one-stop spot for all things geek culture, brought to you by Comicbook.com. I am your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today, I got the crew. I got Matthew Aguilar.
What up?
I got Janelle Wheeler.
Hello.
And guys, we got a lot to do. This has been a week. We have so much on our plate. I mean, it's good because, last couple seasons of the show, we've just been struggling for content, but now it looks like we're getting back to it. Summer is officially here, y'all. We're getting into it. Big movies. Yeah, big. I don't know if we can still sing that. I do not know if we can still sing that song. But
punch anyone in that videos?
That we know of. I don't know if we can still sing that. So easy on all that. But we got a lot to talk about today, and we're going to get right to it. We're going to start first and foremost with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is now out in theaters. After so long of a wait, this big pivotal chapter of the MCU. So we are going to take this in kind of two steps because we realize, what kind of show we got to do. It's always tricky because we got fans who are diehards and they've already been out. Some fans are international. They've already been out. And then we got a bunch of people who are going to be spending the weekend, going out to theaters and seeing it. So we're doing this in two steps for everybody. We are all things geek culture. So Janelle hasn't seen the movie. Me and Matt are about to go down, and at the very end of the show, we will do a full spoilers breakdown of Doctor Strange 2. For now, we're just going to go around and give you guys some quick non-spoiler impressions just to let you guys know where we sit with the movie and kind of what we think. I saw it. I think that Doctor Strange 2 is, pretty much one of the most kind of creator-driven Marvel movies I've ever seen. Sam Raimi directed this, the director of Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell. We all know Sam Raimi and a bunch of other stuff. When I was looking it up, you don't remember that Sam Raimi directed more subdued projects. But anyway, Sam Raimi is an auteur in the truest sense. He makes Sam Raimi movies.
What's the crocodile, the alligator one? What's that one?
What?
Didn't Raimi do an alligator one or something? That was really good. I can't remember the title. It was really good.
You're throwing me off.
I was just saying.
You look that up. Look up.
I'll look it up. Here, I'll do it.
But anyway, back to what I was saying. So this is very much a Sam Raimi movie, and if you know Sam Raimi movies, they're funny, they're gross, they're weird, they're kind of terrifying, they're all of the above. What was it? Crawl. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Did he produce that one? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that was Alexandre Aja, if you want to get real technical. But anyway, so this is a Raimi movie, very much. People have been saying that, like Marvel let Sam Raimi make a Sam Raimi movie, and they weren't lying. Like it's actually surprising, and I'm sure if Jim Viscardi ever gets out of jail, he'll tell you, like, it's surprising that Marvel let Raimi have this much control over it. Obviously, not all the story control, and we're going to get into that, but the way that he makes this a very much a Sam Raimi movie, and some of the choices and some of the scenes and the beats are just so unexpected for a Marvel movie, and that's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to get back into Sam Raimi movies. So that's the good part. The bad part, I'd say, is that this script is a kind of a mess. Marvel trying to get through just what this movie's trying to do with the multiverse, set up all this other stuff that we'll talk about in spoilers, and do the obligatory Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff. I don't think since Phase 1 we've seen a point where a director's creative vision and the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe obligations kind of clash with each other. And this doesn't pull apart because everybody's learned to play nicely, compromise, work stuff out since Phase 1. Kevin Feige's, we were just talking about how he's an expert at that. And so it holds together, but it's just like barely. You can feel it. It's just like this. And in the larger sense, after No Way Home and this and Loki and even WandaVision, it's just like, I don't feel like there's a great handle on this whole multiverse saga we're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not quite yet. And I thought this would be the film to kind of reaffirm all that, and it does quite the opposite. It's just like, I don't know if we know what we're doing with all of this. So there's that concern. But so it's kind of a mixed bag. But the experience of watching the movie, like, I would think I'm going to sit down and watch this movie more so than a lot of other Marvel movies, simply because of the character, the identity that it has as a Marvel movie. And man, I can't believe I waited this long to say Elizabeth Olsen is like the GOAT of Marvel actors.
God.
It's like, it's such a hard run this week to be like Oscar Isaac, Elizabeth Olsen, Oscar Isaac, Elizabeth Olsen. Like, who's the true GOAT in this franchise? But there's nothing wrong with her in this movie.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps. I'm so excited.
She kills it. Yeah. Matt, what did you think?
She's great. Well, I'm curious because coming out of this, this does a lot of ways feel like a Wanda movie. More so, and I'm not saying that a bad way because she's amazing. She's amazing. But but I don't know. I think they're neck and neck, and I can totally see how someone comes out of this and goes, well, that was more Wanda's movie because yes, Strange has an arc, obviously. But like Wanda's stuff, it's just that's like the meat and potatoes of this thing. Like that's what holds it all together. TV show. That's what I mean. Yeah. So some were worried that we're going in of like, hey, is this going to be too much Wanda? Plus, I mean, you splice in everything else that's going on, right? And we're not getting into spoilers, but like all the other characters and concepts that get introduced in this movie, I can understand someone coming out of it and going like, well, that didn't feel like a Doctor Strange.
Oh no, that's going to be me.
Like, not that it's not Doctor Strange movie, but that he is not the sole kind of shining light from this.
Gotcha.
I liked the movie. My biggest concern, and we talked about this way back when Derrickson was not part of this and it was going to be Raimi. I'm kind of mixed on Raimi. Like I really like some Raimi stuff, and other stuff just doesn't click with me. As I mentioned, I love Crawl, I love other stuff, I love some of the Evil Dead stuff. I like the Spider-Man movies, but there are choices in those Spider-Man movies that I'm like, like they don't age so well. So I was kind of mixed in the Raimi stuff. It was cool for, like, I didn't expect it. That was awesome, seeing Marvel do some different things. At the same time, it's like I still go back to like, oh, what if we had gotten that sequel that I was really hoping for after that first one and really got him to lean into that stuff? I don't know. I kind of come away, I enjoyed it. I also will get into America Chavez stuff because I don't, necessarily feel like, I feel like if a character kind of got the shaft as far as time and development, it was kind of her. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I'm just saying, like, I agree with Kofi as far as I thought this would be something that brought together this, hey, we have a singular vision for what what MCU's multiverse is going to be and what we want to do with it. Mm-hmm. And this movie just opens up a ton of possibilities. Yeah. It doesn't really narrow that thing of like, hey, here's our goal.
No, they kind of kick the ball down.
Yeah, it's just like,
way
hey,
down the road.
Here we go.
Towards the direction we'll talk about that. We know there's a lot of little signifiers that if you're a Marvel Comics fan, you know where this is headed. But yeah, they kind of kick the can down the road.
But it's really good. I don't want that to come across as like negative. I really enjoyed it.
It's weird because I saw the first 22 minutes and I felt really rewarded. Like I felt like, okay, this is a strange story. Right. Like I liked America Chavez jumping in. So I'm really curious now.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to elaborate, but you have to. Yeah, there's a lot in the movie that you have to kind of see in the plot line, so to speak, and then I think this movie just bit off more than it could chew because what it asks is 3 primary characters to have like complete arcs. America, Wanda, and Strange. And there's not nearly enough space and time. I didn't need
America in this movie
to do all of that. But I think they did a good job of making you at least like America Chavez a lot as a character for later stuff. Yeah. And then I think the other stuff we'll debate.
Do you think she should have had her own show?
No.
She should have been introduced. Okay, well, it's hard to get into that without spoiling, but what I will say, she should have been introduced here. I'm totally cool with them introducing her.
Right.
What I'm not maybe so great on is like give just some hints and then make her a clear side character of like, hey, we're just going to soft introduce. And then what? They tried to kind of go into other stuff, and then it ends up feeling shortchanged because they tried to go too deep.
But it's also kind of tricky because the way they're using her in the MCU is like,
I agree.
Where would you put her in? Like in a thing if she's like hopping through realities and all that stuff, and it's like it gets really.
I agree, but then maybe they don't introduce her here. But
I don't think there was a good answer, and I think this was the only place, and I think this is the only time. After some of the critical reactions where you could get into this whole somebody hopping through universes in a multiverse story.
I mean, they could have introduced her in Loki season 2.
I mean,
that whole show deals with that, and you got way more time to jump into someone's origin story.
Really good point.
I know, but I just think the way they're using her, like I think as the MacGuffin of.
But I don't like that. That's my point. It's that short changes the character. It's not just a convenient power set. It's the fact that this character is really cool. So I want people to understand that instead of Jones, oh, hey, she makes star portals.
Fair enough. But we'll see. I mean, we're not going to get into spoilers, but this won't be the last time we see America Chavez. So we'll debate more in spoilers at the end. So for everybody who has seen Doctor Strange, stick around for our very last segment of the show, where we will get into kind of the more contentious, full spoiler arguments and such that you love. All right, moving right along, let's get through some news real quick. This week we had Star Wars Day. Obviously, if you see the shirt, if you're watching this, I'm repping both Street Fighter and Star Wars.
That's so sick, dude.
Get your geek game up.
That
Anyway,
is amazing.
So we got the new trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi's series, the full trailer finally, and pretty exciting trailer. I think it did a good job of kind of giving us the larger kind of thematic character arc for this, about Obi-Wan just trying to watch over Luke and deal with what has all happened to the universe, and deal with these Inquisitors now coming and tracking him down, and him having to get roped into this kind of quest that'll bring him back to face Vader again. And we got the teases of Vader at the end. We had some great stuff with Joel Edgerton coming in as Uncle Owen and doing this whole, kind of snippy, oh, you're going to train him, right? Like he trained his dad.
Train his dad, oh my God.
Getting that in. So
harsh.
It's good to see Uncle Owen get some more. So this is, it looks like Deborah Chow has nailed this. There's a lot that just looks like this is going to be exactly what we want from an Obi-Wan series, which is kind of, like I said, the contemplative, samurai in exile type deal, and him having to take this kind of exciting mission. The Inquisitors, the Empire stuff looks pretty cool. I forget her name, but playing this female Inquisitor, she looks pretty badass. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, Vader teases and all that stuff. We also get Forlom, Forlom and Zuckuss. If you guys have been following our Star Wars comic talk on this podcast and you read War of the Bounty Hunters last year, Forlom and Zuckuss will be our kind of next comic characters that get an adaptation. I'm excited to see who else shows up.
This is a comic person's dream right now.
We've had shows. Jedi Fallen Order teases. Yeah. We mean Cal Kestis. It could be going down in Obi-Wan. So that's going to be fun. But I think that's it. You guys have anything?
It looks so good. My standout moment in this trailer is the Darth Vader just kind of showing how painful it all is, the construction of what happened to him and rebuilding of him. Those needles that go into his chest to make him able to breathe. No wonder he's so grumpy and angry and terrible feeling. And that was it gave me goosebumps. And honestly, this looks like a film. And it just looks
It does actually
stunning.
have that feel to it, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So, limited series, Obi-Wan, go on Comicbook.com, Star Wars, we have the trailer, we have breakdowns of everything that you should check out and notice in the trailer and all that good stuff. Moving right along to Game of Thrones. We are back, and we got a trailer for House of the Dragon.
Yes.
Which is the prequel series that examines the Targaryen dynasty in its heyday. And, the real thing about this is, we were talking about, poor things that have happened to Matt Smith lately. Morbius of it all. But he gets to star in a Game of Thrones series, and it looks like he'll be doing his thing.
I don't know, he's doing pretty well for himself.
He's doing okay for himself. Yeah.
I love him so much. This is a Doctor Who fangirl over here. He's my second favorite Doctor, and he has been so brilliant in everything.
Yeah, he's gotten short stick though.
Wasn't he great in Genesis too? He's always kind of the standout in everything.
Yeah, and he keeps getting shafted in things. Man.
And I just want to shout out to my Bleach crew. All of them.
You look like a Targaryen. Janelle Wheeler, if you are not watching this, keeps that platinum look. It looks like she could be a Targaryen. So.
I am a Targaryen.
All you gotta do is get yourself a dragon. You're in business.
Sure, yeah.
Any fan artists out there? Let's get a Janelle riding a dragon fan art. Targaryen style.
Dude, I love Kofi.
Yes.
We're best friends.
Yeah, please do.
Flaming sword and all. All right. So that's House of Dragon. Nothing much to talk about. It looks like, guys, don't expect this to be all-out dragon action. It looks like a talkie. It's going to be a talkie. It's Game of Thrones. But it's going to be all these amazing actors in the Targaryen stuff. And, if you've been following Game of Thrones, I want to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
See you soon, HBO Max. All right, over on the Marvel side again, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 updates. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is filming currently. It's coming down to the end of filming, I believe. And as such, we've gotten some juicy set photos that have kind of really, set Marvel fans buzzing and getting their imaginations going. First, we got some looks at some costumes that we're going to be getting in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that Matt's very excited about.
They look so good.
Matt, bring that comic knowledge, fill people in.
Oh, man, this is the Abnett and Lanning costume. So during that run that pretty much kind of put the Guardians on the map in the comics as far as like, oh my God, this crew is great.
No more
it
that
started
70s
to kind of
retro stuff.
Started to build it up. These were the suits, and they've gotten close sometimes with like certain designs. They always kind of throw homages in there, but these, I mean, are straight up like them, and I'm so excited, especially because like we have like Nebula in one, and it's just so great because
so good.
You might think, oh, they'll only do it for Star-Lord, but I'm very excited for this. If we can get this would be amazing. If we could just get an intro that is kind of like those old comics, which was always one of the things is they would always do like these kind of real world style things where they would talk to the reader.
Oh my gosh.
And they would like talk about their other teammates, right? And there were all these panels. If we could get those suits with that kind of style from those, I would just, it would be amazing. I would love that.
James
that was super
Gunn,
cool.
he's interesting. He's been saying some stuff that's making me nervous. He's like, it's going to be dark. It's going to be something we've never seen
This
before.
is the end of Guardians. People are going to die.
But do you think it will still be cheeky and like fun the way that it normally
James Gunn is like Sam Raimi. He does all that stuff. But it's going to break your heart. You're going to watch a raccoon
And
probably
maybe Darkhawk.
Oh, God.
He was supposed to be in 2. He said he tried to get him in 2.
Yeah, I don't think
He
so.
did. James Gunn said
But
it.
if you're just listening to this and you don't have any idea what we're talking about, these suits are blue and they have these red trimmings. They were from Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning's run on Guardians, which came in 2008, and that's the run. The Guardians had been this retro kind of team of space things. There was all this space cosmic craziness, but they made the modern team: Star-Lord, Rocket, Drax, more like all that stuff. Adam Warlock and Annihilation and all the larger stuff that we basically now know to be Guardians. These guys launched it, and when they did it, the Guardians had these blue kind of uniforms that are like the red Ravager uniforms they were wearing in the first one, except blue with red trimmings. They're very iconic. Everybody's excited. So that's the first thing from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. The bigger thing is we might have learned something about the villain of this film, and basically that it could be the High Evolutionary, which is interesting for several reasons that we'll talk about maybe later, tying into certain things. But the High Evolutionary is seemingly going to be the villain of this, and we know because outlets got sent photos of set decoration, and one of them is a graffiti painting of a character who, in kind of alien language, but it's a face that looks exactly like the High Evolutionary, and it's Chukwudi Woojies from Peacemaker. Everybody, he's been in. No, he's been in this, and nobody knew. James Gunn would never say who he's playing, and so James Gunn's been really coy.
That's awesome.
About who he's playing, but the art looks like High Evolutionary by way of his facial design.
Okay.
So, his...
That's exciting.
So
we
it looks
love
like,
our nerd sleuths.
Yeah, this is why Rocket's probably going to die, though.
No.
So, guys, everybody get your heart ready for that. All right. So, check that out, Comicbook.com, Marvel. Check out the set photos and all that stuff for yourself. It looks like we're getting High Evolutionary, Adam Warlock, and Guardians, the retro awesome outfits from Abbott and Lanning. So, good stuff happening.
So
bubbling
hyped
there.
on this one.
All right, guys. We got to talk about Moon Knight.
Okay.
Moon Knight.
Did Moon Knight's finale deliver for you guys? In a word.
Yes.
Okay, in a word.
Kind of.
And for me, pretty much. All right, there we go. Those are 2 words we both use, but we got to work on our English.
I thought we had to go with yes or no. I didn't know there were other options. I thought we had to say
We just broke the rules. This is that kind of podcast. We just broke the rules.
I was like, I would offer
All
it kind
right,
of.
so we're going to talk full spoilers for Moon Knight's finale. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? What are you doing? So we got Moon Knight, and we were sitting here last week thinking, can this show pull it together and wrap it all up? Because we started off in a very literal kind of and figurative deep hole of Mark Spector dead, he's in the underworld, Steven's dead, Mark's dead, their physical body is dead, Harrow's taking unleashing Amet and claiming souls, and what are we going to do? Khonshu's locked up. Well, we got this episode, and then within 40 minutes, like I said, they did pretty much a good job of wrapping everything up, and in ways that didn't feel too cheesy and actually were entertaining, right? Yeah. Mark and Steven kind of finally, sharing that heart and ding and bringing Steven back,
that was
gave you little feels. Layla got to level up as the Crimson Scarab, and
amazing.
She just crapped all over the Rock's Black Adam movie by being like, "You want wings? We got it already." So We had
That's actually true.
We had a kind of a surprisingly the best well done CGI fight. I mean,
That was really well
between
done.
Moon Knight and Ethan
Yes.
Hawke. That shot of him kneeing him in the face above the moon is going to be iconic.
Oh, I was even saying just the big Khonshu fight.
Oh no, I was getting to that
yeah.
next.
Khonshu.
And we got like straight out of Age of Khonshu, we got like big kaiju invisible god
Yeah, that
monsters
was- and it
fighting in the
looked
background,
good.
and it
was
looked great.
Yeah.
So cool.
I
You
think
can tell where
Ahmed-
the whole budget went.
Yeah, right.
They saved the budget.
Budget
Like,
for
okay,
the
we got to
end,
make
yeah.
a hippo happen, and we got to do the boat, and then we got to like.
Layla's
we
gotta
need
have
some
wings.
space. Yeah, we
Yeah.
need some space because we got a big giant like kaiju fight
No,
coming.
but that was a movie. I mean, it was. I don't think I've discussed this angle of it, but it was movie like that. It's the first Marvel
Oh,
finale where I
yeah.
felt like it was movie level.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, the kaiju. I mean, just a sequence with changing like the effects for changing between Moon Knight and Mr.
Yeah,
Knight,
that
like
was great, too.
mid-fight, and Mr. Knight just going full ballistic and beating people with the batons, like all the action sequences with Layla, like all of it, very well done. Yeah, it was crazy. It was pretty entertaining, and I think Ahmet is doing some strange things to people. They're a little confused about a sexy crocodile goddess. I saw the tweets. I get it. I get it.
Oh my God, that's
yeah.
great.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
so
people like a woman in charge,
Yep.
And she was
Yeah.
a powerful,
True.
So
powerful Egyptian lady.
So do you feel like it? Because it did, I think it did a good job. What Kofi said. I think
Yes.
it wrapped up somehow everything, and then planted a hook
Oh yeah, let's get to that.
for
Well,
next season.
That's my only thing is like, are we getting a season 2?
Oh,
like
yeah.
if we
They've
don't,
said no, right?
No,
they've
here's okay.
danced around.
All right,
it.
kids.
Yeah,
Let's go to school.
That's my only complaint.
Okay, kids,
by
let's
the way.
go to school. Here's
Yeah.
Hollywood. Right now, you're not going to hear this now. They may have already screwed this up, and we've already broken this down on Comicbook.com Marvel. But here's the game. What they're doing is this series. I bet you more than any other, except for probably the closest runner would be WandaVision, has the chances of getting things like Emmys, right? For
Okay.
Oscar Isaac,
Yeah, I know,
dramatic
and that's why they
performance.
classified it as such.
Yeah, so
Yes.
they're not saying season 2 because this is Hollywood awards politics games.
But is that the
What?
only reason?
It's the primary. I would bet it's the primary.
spanking
reason.
way.
I'm
That's
just. This is
wild.
me speculating. This is just me. I'm just talking. I'm a guy on a
That's smart.
podcast just talking.
You're an expert.
But it's a limited series, is
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to win. That's how WandaVision won. It won
Okay.
for in the limited series category,
Yes.
cleaned up. So I think they were trying to repeat that. Now, somebody from Marvel PR dropped the bag because what they did was retweeted this thing. They said, catch the series finale tonight, but for
Yeah.
the promo for the last episode. Then they went back, took that down, put up another one, said, catch the season finale tonight, of Moon Knight. And I think there's a bunch of behind-the-scenes confusion now because I think they were trying to keep it as series so that it was a limited series until they got the awards categories, and then you can say, I'm doing season 2.
Wow.
Because
Oh my
other TV shows have
God.
done that. What is that? Pretty Little Liars?
Pretty Little Liars,
Yeah,
yeah.
Pretty Little
Okay.
Liars did that and got a bunch of awards. Then we're like,
mean, it's smart.
We're doing season 2.
It's smart if
Yeah,
that's
so it's
if that's
okay.
what the
Yeah.
reason was. I just didn't know if that was actually the reason because
I'm
they
just
actually,
speculating,
Yeah.
but this seems to be
That makes sense.
the reason. They're just hesitant to use
do the-
any
yeah.
kind of concrete
Which
terminology.
I get it because if it cleans up,
until then, yeah.
Can
which it very well could. Go
This-
ahead. Sorry.
I will say this: my internet went out during the end credit scenes, so I didn't know anything,
Oh.
and I had to wait like an hour or two to watch it, and I was like, "Oh my god! If you don't watch the end credit scene, like you
okay.
missed
So
the whole thing."
that's my point. Is
It's
okay.
the most important
So
part.
the
of
real,
everything.
the ending,
Yeah.
the first ending
Yeah.
sucks.
yeah,
It sucks.
It
It
really
royally
does.
sucks.
It does.
doesn't get interesting
there's
until
not a
the
tie.
credits, and then that's
Yep.
the real
Well,
ending.
But I think this also hits exactly what I said on this podcast. If you guys rewind and look back, what I said was going to happen in this episode is exactly what happened.
Which is what I said I didn't
Jake.
want to happen.
Yeah, but I think it also set up a premise for season 2, and I wrote this excellent feature on Comicbook.com, which is breaking down how this sets up an excellent season 2, which is, I think this has to be a season 2 because what you've done is you've done what you want for a sophomore season of a show. You've reestablished a status quo that's similar to the beginning, but different. And so now you would start off season 2 with Mark, Steven, and I call them one thing now, Mark Steven kind of trying to live normal life.
Yeah.
Not being able to achieve this, still struggling with each other kind of on the finer points of what they want to do with their normal life. Seeing Layla kicking butt as a superhero, dealing with all that, and then still blacking out and waking up and being like, what is going on? Because Jake is going full Moon Knight probably after Bushman, doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
When he came out, when they had the hat and you saw him go to the thing, I lost my mind. Okay, I was like, oh my God, Jake! And he has the cab, the limo cab, which I freaking love, right? All that stuff was
speaking Spanish,
perfect. It was so good, and he just looks at him with a completely different dude.
He has like
Oscar
sharp
Isaac,
eyes,
just
dead eyes.
No, it's 3 different characters.
Just killed this so well. Incredible. But that was my worry too, because we don't leave this series. Now we have a whole. If they do the season 2 thing, which seems very likely, as after that ending, then we have a whole other season. Like, I don't know. I wanted us to be at that point now. I wanted us to be able to explore some really interesting stories. Yeah. Now we got a whole other 6 episodes before that happens, because that's going to be the through line.
They're going to
and that's
drag
just,
it out.
To me, that's just redundant. There's redundancy to that. But I came away from this going, it delivered a finale to their version of Moon Knight and their vision for Moon Knight, and I thought it was satisfying in what they are trying to do.
Yeah, I know. I thought it was complete in their story.
Yeah, as a fan of the comic and some of the things I want to see, not so much. I kind of came away like, okay, why are we redoing this? I do love, though, that what if Jake is Hunter's Moon?
I mean, that would be cool
because he is the other fist, right? Wow. And that's how they interpret it in the MCU.
That'd be very cool. Like, there's a lot they can interpret that. I mean, we saw what they did with Steven and Mark.
Yeah, everyone needs an avatar,
Steven,
right?
And so that would be very cool. I think why I'm not angry about the redundancy of season 2 is, there's plenty of TV shows, Lost, Fringe, things like that do this same thing. Like, we're dealing with reality and the nature of it, and it keeps resetting, but it's not quite what it's supposed to be.
And I love Fringe.
Yeah.
So I'm good with this because I think in season 2, like the mystery of them trying to figure out and seeing what Jake is actually doing as Moon Knight or Hunter's Moon or Shadow Moon or whatever, whatever they make it to be, like, is going to be crazy. Those are the best sequences in season 1 where they wake up and Jake has just annihilated like a bunch of people and there's blood and destruction everywhere.
That. Yeah,
and then being like, what is going on is like so much fun. Also, you get to keep the hospital reality, which is what I kind of bit into as wanting to see. Is I want to see the 3 Oscar Isaacs, mostly in that when they find out, like, Jake is, this is us, there's still something going on, we're still working for Khonshu, and they have to solve that. The back half of that season means they got to go into that hospital reality and have it out with Jake.
Open more doors.
And I think that'll be so much fun.
That will be
Steven,
so fun.
Mark, and Jake kind of having it out. That's what you said you wanted to see.
No, I did.
And then establishing the kind of the ready room with all 3 of them.
I want them to be doing that in the real world, though. I don't want that to be this, like, I don't look forward to a whole second season of, oh, hey, they're in the hospital again. Oh, hey, they're like, I want them to explore that stuff in kind of real time. I know, just not, that part just seems like season 1.5.
Oh, it's going to be.
And so I'm just not thrilled about that. However, will it be probably fantastic because Oscar Isaac's great. They've assembled a great cast. Layla's evolution is amazing. There's so much for what the MCU is positioning this as. I'm excited. I'm just not as excited as I would be if they took different paths. But that's on me. That's not them. That's not their fault.
No.
Like,
I think they could pad it up. Like, I would like to see Mark and Steven try to open, like, the mission, right? Like, not as Moon Knight, but just trying to still do good outside of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the vampire lady character.
Oh, Reese. Yeah, Reese would be amazing.
Hopefully we'll have some vampires established by then, and we can have, like, a vampire, all that fun stuff we're kind of getting in the current series.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think overall, how would you guys rank this? I think this was my favorite Marvel Disney Plus finale.
Finale? Not season.
No.
Okay.
Honestly, I think you're completely correct.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm saying that too, because I still, like, as a whole, rank WandaVision before Moon Knight.
It was close to What If for me, but I think this edged it out.
I love What If. Okay, I love What If.
Oh my God! Even though What If actually had a really good finale, if the whole series had been like the finale, it would have been fine. I'm trying to think. Oh man, it might be, or it's tied. I would say I'd have to really go back and watch all the things. It's between Hawkeye and Loki. I would say Hawkeye. Wow. I loved Hawkeye's finale.
I loved Loki, but it was a talkie. I mean, that finale was a talkie.
Hawkeye's finale was just like the perfect payoff for so many things. I just love that. But for what I will say for the ambition and scale, I will probably give it to Moon Knight. Moon Knight was trying to do a hell of a lot more in that time span as opposed to just a big fight or two big fights, and it nailed that. So I'll give it to Moon Knight. I think
All right. Okay, thanks guys. That's Moon Knight, and you can find out all our breakdown of this entire show, the Easter eggs, where it's going possibly next, where Moon Knight could show up next, and a bunch of other great stuff over on Comicbook.com Marvel. We are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we have to talk about the latest episode of Halo. We got to break down the new comics of the week because they're kind of all really important ones. And then we are going to talk full spoilers and just some of the general kind of spoilery points of Doctor Strange 2. And Matt has some wrestling updates for all you wrestling fans. So come on back to your one-stop spot for all this geek culture. Comic Book Nation. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to Comic Book Nation, your one-stop spot for all things geek culture, brought to you by Comicbook.com. If you got a little glimpse of us during the break, we're trying to do a daily show approach, and so there, I hope you liked it. Now that we're back, we're going to talk about the latest episode of Halo, which was Halo Episode 7. We've been kind of saying good things about this show because we've all really enjoyed it. I know some other people have been more critical of Halo. Mm-hmm. Well, now's my week to join those people.
Oh, no.
This week of Halo, I found to be kind of the weak episode in the batch. It was a side episode about Bokeem Woodbine's pirate character and the one girl, I think her name's Jinha or something like that, Master Chief saved in the first episode. And I get it. It was a departure story, kind of setting up these characters for more heroic arcs throughout the series. Right. But it was just a filler episode. Like, it
was unforgettable.
You know, to borrow a term from anime, it was a filler episode. Yeah. And like, okay.
But it's still good.
Yeah, no, the actors are good.
I still really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but it was more like watching, to me, okay, so, you know, I spend most of my Thursday on Paramount Plus, the excellent streaming service, which, you know, streams this show. And I was watching two Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which, check that out, by the way, and Star Trek Picard finale, and Halo, and I felt like for the first time, there was like no...
Yeah.
Right.
No kind of oscillation. Halo's usually like up here, kind of like more actiony, more intense and stuff. And it was just like this week, it was like, oh, I'm just watching another Star Trek episode. And like, you know, I watched 3 Star Trek episodes, and that's kind of how it felt.
It was probably because Master Chief wasn't in it.
And it was not. It wasn't that. I love Bokeem Woodbine and stuff, and there was a lot of great stuff for those characters, but it was just it didn't feel as crucial and cinematic and, you know, as that, except that explosion at the end. That was awesome.
The explosion was amazing.
The fight at the end was awesome. And seeing Bokeem Woodbine, you know, shoot it out, that was good. He was great. So the payoff was good, but like all the filler stuff with the girl and the tribes and all that stuff is the weak part of the show for me.
I don't know. I liked it. It felt like I was getting like more of an explanation of why should I even like her, because I didn't really care about her at first. Yeah. And after this episode, I actually got emotional. Like, I got a little like welled up eyes watching her reunite with her dad
stuff,
the ancestor stuff.
And dad stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, but I agree.
Yeah, I thought it was really, I don't know, it was refreshing. It was like a different perspective, but I don't mind like character building shows. Like I don't mind those episodes. I'm a Walking Dead.
I was gonna say,
girl.
Walking Dead.
Oh yeah,
So-
you're used to the abuse. I
I'm
got
used
it.
to that. Yeah.
But I agree. I kind of felt to me, Kwan Ha needs the most, or has been in need of the most
Yes.
development.
She was a little whiny
as
in
a
the
character.
beginning.
Yeah, like she's the one that's like not. I wasn't necessarily like gravitating towards as far as like
Which is hard to
understanding.
like. She just mostly kind of yells and yells
Yeah.
at people.
She has a chip on her shoulder.
It needed to me, she needed kind of a little bit of spotlight just to where, okay, I need some time to actually get to really find why I'm rooting for you and stuff. Like Woodbine's amazing. Like he's
so good.
He's so good. He's awesome. That pairing, I think, works for that reasons because while she's kind of come along slowly, you can always know he's gonna kill it. You always like what he's doing. I liked it, but I do agree it's not nearly one of the strongest episodes. I would probably put it as it might be my least favorite episode just
Yeah.
overall. But that's just because all the other ones have been so good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm not,
that's
I'm
kind
not
of
off
how I agree.
Halo.
But
And
I agree
think-
with you.
Yeah, and I think ultimately the fight at the end is good,
Yeah.
and what it does to now firmly establish these two characters as what their convictions are and what they're going to do in this whole bigger war that's going on, I think is necessary, like you said. But check out Halo on the excellent Paramount Plus streaming service where you can also stream Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is out, and Comic Book Nation every Sunday morning at 9 Eastern Time, streaming on Paramount Plus ET Live.
Let's go.
All right, so Matt, comics, what do we got this week?
Boo, boo, boo. So we are going into other universes. It's a
You
theme.
just did Blue's
I
Clues.
know. It happens all the time. I watch so much Blue's Clues with them.
I love it.
So Flashpoint Beyond #1 is a very anti-Blue's Clues universe. This is very dark. This is very hard world. This one we actually, if you remember, we talked about Flashpoint Beyond #0, and that's kind of establishing that this world, Thomas Wayne's world, was supposed to be gone. He was okay that it was gone, and now it's back, and he's trying to essentially figure out why something's happened. And here we get into a lot of the, if you were a fan of the original Flashpoint series, we get into a lot of the actual like political stuff, the back and forth, the Amazon War with the Atlanteans and Aquaman and Wonder Woman. That was actually a big part of the original series, and Zero didn't really feature that much at all. This one, we get that. I think my favorite stuff, though, is actually just Thomas Wayne and Oswald with a really screwed up scenario because they took out his father, which is just really screwed up, but they're now taking care of him because Thomas Wayne kind of wants to use him as leverage or whatever.
It's a little boy,
right?
Yeah.
But then he leaves him with Oswald, and Oswald is not a capable guardian or parent, but he ends up teaching him to shoot
son is he?
guns.
I forget whose son is he?
He's Dent's.
Harvey Dent.
Oh, Harvey
So
Dent.
they took Dent was taken out, and so now they have him, and it's just this weird. Thomas Wayne's morality scale is like all over the
So
place and
warped,
what he feels.
yeah.
But I really enjoyed this issue just because we dipped so far back into like what the Flashpoint world. We really kind of got to see
like the
that
true
again.
Flashpoint
Yeah,
scene. Yeah.
and I really dug it. What'd you guys think?
I think for what you said, this is the one that's very kind of on the surface easy to please because it is a direct sequel to like the events of Flashpoint, which ended, with the seeming destruction of that universe at a very drastic point in the war. And so to see, this didn't end and it continued, and seeing the fallout of that continuation is just viscerally kind of entertaining to everybody who loved Flashpoint. I think you touched on it, but I'll just say my favorite part of this whole thing is Thomas Wayne and his just disaffected. I like
He's great.
I like the story angle of him knowing that this universe got destroyed, shouldn't exist, and so he just keeps walking around the most, what would be in a kind of straightforward Flashpoint story, these monumental events, and he's just like, I don't give a F.
Yeah.
He's
This
literally just
doesn't
walking
matter.
through the
Yeah.
scene I don't care that
He's
this
like,
just
this
happened.
doesn't matter.
And
It
there's
won't
major
matter.
deaths and
He's
horrible
like,
killings,
if-
and he's just like, yeah, whatever.
If Eeyore were Batman, that is what we're talking about. Because he's literally walking around. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter.
No, and he's just like, it doesn't matter. And we're like, oh my God, this just happened. And he's like,
Whatever.
But the funniest
that's
thing about
great.
this was the Oswald trying to
my
parent
God.
a kid. And the funniest scene, especially as a parent now, just like, what do you want to do, kid? I want to, like any babysitter, what do you want to do, kid? I want to learn how to shoot a gun. And it's just like this great pregnant pause, and it's just like, what kind? It's just like, yeah, that's penguin. Like, yeah.
Don't shoot the roof.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love you acting it out. It makes me want to like see it live action.
I know, right?
Honestly,
Yeah, I
like
know.
that's great.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. So I mean, I'm really digging it. The larger stuff, again, like with going back with like the time hunters or watchers, or whatever they're called, and all this stuff, and tying into this larger multiverse thing is
Heading into hyper time, baby.
Yeah, it's making my head hurt, but just the grounded Flashpoint reality of it all is a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
So.
I know. Did you feel the same way?
Yes, this was my favorite book of the week.
Oh.
And it's because of our lead character. And I don't think I've read Flashpoint. Like I don't know everything that happened, but I get it. Like I'm following, I know what's happening. He's trying to fix this broken reality. Like it's all good. It's just really curious to see like Wonder Woman acting that way, and I'm loving this different take.
I recommend you go read it, and specifically the Wonder Woman Aquaman focused stuff, because that was actually like one of the best parts of stories of Flashpoint.
Yeah,
Maybe
I love
we should make
what
that
I'm
our
seeing.
next.
We should go back and read that
trade thing.
It's going to matter for a lot of things coming up, so
for sure.
I would vote for it. But all right, I guess I'll take this next one.
Yeah.
All right, the next one I took, I get to do a comic book all by myself. I did Star Wars Obi-Wan #1. Star Wars and Marvel, they love that synergy in Lucasfilm. So before we get this Obi-Wan series, we got this Obi-Wan comic series that's come out, and it's interesting. It's not critical reading by any means.
Right.
If you think like this is some big reveal that's going to set up something for the Obi-Wan TV series, I'm not going overboard like I did with Book of Boba Fett. I'm not going nuts. I'm going to keep it scaled down, because I realized some of my Star Wars theories were horribly wrong for that show. I was just looking and I was like, I'm surprised nobody called me out on more of this. But this series, basically, this is set, I think, it's further along. It's 20 years. So the Obi-Wan series is set 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. This is 20 years, okay?
Okay.
So Luke's kind of getting closer to being, ready and getting into this whole thing. But it is between that Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan, but he's remembering himself as a young man. Okay. And most of this first issue, the thrust of it is his memory of a friend, his only friend when he was a young Padawan and a kid that he had in the temple. And the friend, this girl, she was searching for her parents or something, and she couldn't, and she got wind of this and she couldn't let it go. So she snuck out of the Jedi temple. Obi-Wan went with her. Of course, it went bad. And like he had to help save her. They had to beat up some like thugs and get out of there and deal with all this stuff. But the crux of it is at the end when they're together, she tries to kind of get him and say like I got to do this, and she knows him and knows he won't. And it's the first time he realizes like how attached he is to the Jedi code and all that, and that he's that person. Yeah. And he has to let go of his only friend and go back to the temple, and Yoda's just waiting there for him, like, yeah, you realize it's real out here in this Jedi stuff now. And he's just like,
with a broom.
Yeah, with a broom. He's like, yeah, good, now clean this up. You snuck out.
Cute.
And so it's just kind of building up. And I think this is all necessary because I think more so than we expect, we're gonna, if you hated the Book of Boba Fett and like the whole kind of him ruminating on his whole life and reflecting.
Hated that?
A lot of people.
Goodness.
But the back to flashbacks were a joke. But I think there's gonna be some of this for Obi-Wan, and the deeper character study is his adherence to the code and ability to stick to this is what is so unique to him.
Right.
And not to falter where so many other Jedi falter, and he doesn't, even in the darkest of times.
Right.
He doesn't falter. So
That's
getting into that side,
awesome.
I think this comic helps you feed into that by giving you, and we've had many, Star Wars has, and I'm not going to get nailed on this, but they've done expanded lore where you learn more about like Obi-Wan when he was with Qui-Gon and other stuff. So, and the animated series kind of hinted at as even a romantic past, and so like this is just more expansion on that, and it was well done. Looking forward to seeing, because it looks like it's going to jump around kind of anthology style.
Because that next issue is Qui-Gon.
Is Qui-Gon. So I'm looking forward to more of this.
I like that in the chat. Speaking of Book of Boba Fett, watch the behind the scenes of that show that just dropped. It's fantastic, says Damon.
Also, in New York, they put up a crazy awesome...
that thing
Oh my
was
God, the
awesome.
Mandalorian thing?
The one where he like walks out on the couch. The 3D.
gosh.
People made jokes.
Cool.
They were like, Boba Fett just had more screen time on that than he did in his
Oh, wait, was that Boba Fett?
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah,
I
when
thought
he
it
walks
was
out, it's like him
Mandalorian.
looking over Times Square, and then sits
Even though
down
it's
and
probably
like, goes
true.
back in.
But
He's
boo,
like,
Wow.
boo anyway.
I totally thought it was Mandalorian.
But that's Star Wars Obi-Wan. Check that out if you're a Star Wars fan and you're looking forward to this upcoming series. And now for our last one.
Oh, poll winner, baby. Giant size X-Men Thunderbird. Number 1. I was super hyped about this because
this
was one of the only things that came out of Trial of Magneto that was decent.
Yeah. True. And until I read this, I didn't realize this affected me by the end.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize what this comic is doing until like the very end, which is that I was like, wow, like Thunderbird seriously is like one of the last characters in our whole reinvention of culture where everybody was woke all the time and we were all perfect all the time, where we left like this one ethnic character who just got stereotyped, killed off, and has never been brought back.
Right.
Like never revisited.
Yes,
well, except as like a
zombie,
undead zombie.
Oh my
So
God.
not really.
So
And so this is like the first time in this kind of new, kind of more culturally conscious era that we're bringing back Thunderbird. And there is like a whole like kind of like deep, subtle like Native American thing being like, no, we're going to take this hero back and like we're going to do something here.
Well, and that was the creator. We got to talk to Nyla Rose, who's co-writing this with Steve Orlando, right? Who does Marauders. And that was their whole thing. This character is one of the few characters to also remain dead for a long time, like other than Uncle Ben, right? It's like there's only a couple people, and he's more known for being dead. And I love that line. He actually says it in this issue.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm more known for being dead than I am alive. And also the person that people see me as was not defined by me even after death. It was what people built me up as or said I'm a hero or this and that. And if you go back, and I love that they actually in this issue go and show a flashback scene of his death. That's a version of it, but essentially it's what happened. He told Xavier to like just screw off. He was always kind of, he didn't like having to kind of answer to Xavier anyway, but he even says it in this book. He's defining a lot of the stuff like, I just did it because like, okay, I'm going to take a stab at being a hero. I thought maybe I could be altruistic and maybe that would be good, right? But I didn't get to pick the suit. They put me in these colors because they thought it would be more approachable from people, and that's a joke. And he's going to all these things. And I even love the letter to, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, Jumbo, to make his costume, because he's like, here's what I want, here's why. And it's a really cool note.
What the colors represent.
Yeah, and what all that stuff is. I just thought by the end here too, look, I'm a sucker for family stories. I'm a sucker for like reunions. Okay, so when we get to his grandmother and we see her and she like their dynamic, and then Warpath comes in and he's never met her. Like he's met her, but he's met her so very young. And I have grandparents that like I didn't get to meet for a long time, kind of, because I just wasn't around. So like all that stuff like resonated huge. I just thought they did what one-shots can do is this kind of thing, is like give a launching pad for a character and move them forward, and we can do really cool stuff with them. I think that's what they did here for Thunderbird. And that's something that, you know, it was kind of is always going to be hedgy if they're going to make it happen, but I think they really did. I loved this issue. What did you guys think?
I mean, they brought back a good Native American superhero, which we have so few of.
Yeah.
And these are some of the like OGs, and like Warpath has been a popular character since the 90s, and you know, Thunderbird never, like we said, we never really got with Thunderbird, and he has been just the first to die for Xavier is like his whole claim to fame. Like
that's crazy.
Nothing to do with him, his power, his Native American heritage. Just he was the first dude to die for Xavier, you know. And it's just like, I think I liked this book up until the last act of it, and then when it just goes back and it's just him meeting his grandmother, and then when Warpath, like, I mean, I've seen a lot of things this week because I watched Doctor Strange. So I was surprised when I sat up and was like, oh yeah, and working out because Warpath came out of the portal. And I was like, it's Warpath, they're doing it. And like they have their brother reunion, and the grandmother who's just awesome.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
She's this tiny lady with these two huge dudes, and she's just like, she's like, look at you boys, and she's just like schooling them, drinking beers. And like it was great. And it had that touch of just authentic kind of cultural touch to it, and really just kind of made you see this character in a new light, and I'm glad to have, you know, Thunderbird back, and I would love to see him in Warpath like go out and just do stuff like.
They've gotten set up for X-Men Red. I think number 3 is when he'll next pop up. What'd you end up thinking?
So when this got voted on, I was like, why? Why do we keep reading X-Men? I'm like struggling so much. I don't know what I need to do to get the history. It is just so dense. But This is my favorite X-Men book I've ever
There
read.
it is.
And I actually followed the whole thing. I actually understood what was going on, and politically, socially, it hit a beautiful chord. And I was moved. I was moved by this book. So you guys said it beautifully. Like, there were really awesome moments throughout the whole book that I was just like, yeah, this is great. Like, I love this. And Granny is my favorite.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And now I'm like, I feel like I have an X-Men character that I want to explore more. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh,
yes.
I will definitely keep reading this storyline. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any more, but.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
They didn't do this for nothing.
Yeah, they're gonna put him in stuff, and I will make sure to keep those in circulation. But that's comics.
Good.
All right.
Oh God, I
Janelle,
forgot.
you're done for the day.
Yeah. So can I explain?
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going
yeah.
to see Doctor Strange for my birthday.
Happy
I
birthday,
saved it.
Janelle Wheeler.
It's on Sunday, so I am running away, and I'm so grateful that they're letting me run away so that I don't spoil this. So
Thank
if
you
you
for
need
everything today.
Yes.
Now, get out.
I know, yeah. And if you guys don't want to get spoilers, now's the time.
Yes,
Thank
we
you,
are
Janelle.
heading
No,
into
seriously.
Bye,
spoiler.
guys. Have a great day.
Turn off your mic before you hit the bathroom or anything. All right. Thank you, Janelle Wheeler. It's just me and Matt at this
Yeah, it's
big
just boy.
desk. Wow, on a Friday. That's like classic comic book. That's a piece of history people don't understand on this show. So but that's how me and Matt met. We got the graveyard
That's
shift
true.
on Friday
Yeah.
nights at Comic Book, and so we had to sit at a desk, and Matt had to deal with me on Friday nights.
And he had to deal with my singing.
Yeah, so that's how we met, and that's how we got here. So it's kind of a bit nostalgia. All right. All right, so we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange spoilers. That's why Janelle's running away. Anybody else in the chat who's on the live stream right now, if you have not seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, this is your time to also drop out, run away, go do something else, go see the movie, come back and finish up what we had to say here on Comic Book Nation afterwards. We like to preserve this stuff for you guys at all times. All right, that said, one last spoiler alert for Doctor Strange 2. We are going full spoilers. All right, let's get to it. I don't see these viewer numbers falling fast enough. I don't know if people are listening, but here we go.
There's warnings. There's warnings. Yeah, we're good.
All right, so Doctor Strange 2. Okay, so getting into spoilers. Instead of just running through every spoiler, I think the kind of contentious points we want to touch on. The first thing we want to talk about, you said America Chavez, and that was kind of your thing. I think for people who don't know who America Chavez is, though, this was about as much as they'll be able to handle to kind of get that introduction to that character. I think the bigger debate, though, that is already going on and will be going on is Wanda, of course, and what this movie does for Scarlet Witch. Now, you and I have been sitting here and throughout the entire production of Doctor Strange 2, ever since we knew Scarlet Witch was going to be in it, ever since we started to get hints, ever since we saw WandaVision and got to the end of that, you and I in particular have been sitting here and saying, we hope Marvel doesn't do what Marvel Comics did to the Scarlet Witch. We hope they learn and see the crowd, the fan reactions nowadays and everything, instead of making, Wanda the Eden who ate the apple of the entire Marvel garden, that we don't do that. Because that we deserve. It's Elizabeth Olsen. We just went through this WandaVision. This is a much more complex character. She's much more sympathetic. We should be good, right? The biggest thing about Doctor Strange 2, for me, is the hinge, and I think this is the thing that poor Elizabeth Olsen looked like she had to get smashed at this premiere, and I don't think she sat down and watched it at the premiere, because I think she knows, too, like, the hinge of having Wanda go from what we saw in WandaVision, that complicated villain kind of thing she was doing, to just slaughtering entire realities of people, is going to be the biggest point of contention for this movie always. Was that a villain turn that was well earned? We get the kind of cheesy line, the Darkhold.
Well, I was going to say, okay, so they have an out.
Yeah.
Okay, she was under control of the Darkhold, right?
Yeah.
The MacGuffin, you can throw in there if you want to do it. However, it doesn't take away. This is a weird thing, because this is my biggest issue with not just even Scarlet Witch, but like MCU in general. It's consequences, okay? There are none, almost for anybody, unless it's convenient to the plot. So Wanda walked away, got to live in her little house somewhere after taking control of an entire city of people and like controlling their lives for a long time because she was grieving. That's screwed up, right? So you never really got that. And that's why in the trailers I was really excited, because they were like she was addressing that, like, why is this only for me? And it shouldn't be. It should be for everyone. But then we get here, and it's like, there need to be consequences moving forward, because yes, it was controlling you, but you still did some awful things.
Yeah.
There's gotta be repercussions in the MCU. So that's my biggest thing of like, where do they go from here? Are we gonna get that? And it shouldn't just be for her. I did like that they did some of that with Strange in here.
Yeah.
He is called on his actions. He is called for doing some of that stuff. That was good.
Yep, and that's one of the more interesting storylines. I think this is there is a Strange storyline here. It's just kind of muted under the other stuff, which is Strange and they don't finish it in this movie, which is weird, which is that this movie goes to great lengths to show you that eventually Doctor Strange makes these compromising decisions. And some of them have, like you said, consequences that destroy entire universes. And I think at first, that's what they were focused on before it got into the Wanda and the Illuminati of it all and all that. Because it is in the beginning of the movie. You see people in the real world, the first act is all him just going to Christine's wedding and seeing like the other doctor, Michael Sternberg, who shows up, and people just saying, my life is hell since the snap. Are you sure this was like the only way? Yeah. And Doctor Strange being like, I am. And everybody like, well, you're this. And it kind of skeptically being like, well, I guess you would know. And like, everybody's kind of shading him for all the pain that was caused by this decision, the 1 in a billion decision. So that's in the beginning, and it carries through the film because when they get to the Illuminati, that's their Reed Richards is saying to him, like, we're learning that the biggest threat in any reality is you, Doctor Strange. Yeah, and so they're setting it up for this, and they do that to kind of show that Steven, and even throughout the beats, at the end, he still has to use the Darkhold. He's still corrupted. Now he's headed in the dark dimension and all that, and so the threat is still growing. And he could be the villain of the Secret Wars event, the thing that, like, kicks off Secret Wars and all the stuff he's done in No Way Home. I hope they do come back and say, you learned some lessons, but all the stuff you did already broke down reality. Sylvie helped and opened the floodgates, but you messed up with some stuff. Yeah. And all these other Doctor Stranges, you always cause incursions, and now like it all kind of collapses in on each other. So I think there's strange stories there. I think it got lost in a lot of other stuff, and I think that's the most interesting thing from this movie was what is he the real threat still, and how much of a threat he is. Wanda, I think, is I don't mind that they had her. I get Billy and Tommy. We saw that at the end of WandaVision. Yeah. Her kids motivating her. But there's just some real bad lines in this movie. The thing where he first comes to her and learns that in this kind of scene we're seeing on the screen where the whole fake lamb world melts into the real thing she's been doing with the Darkhold, and she starts acting crazy for the first time, saying it's not fair. And he's like, what are you doing? And he's basically like, you're nuts. And she's like, I'm not nuts. I'm a mother. And like that's what she keeps repeating throughout the movie. I was like, I don't know if moms are going to really like this line. Like, we might be going backwards with this line. Like, is this like female hysteria is the reason for this? Like, I don't know about all that. Yeah. But but it's the brutality of what she does. She just like melts Kamar-Taj, like the whole thing. I mean, just the Illuminati scene that everybody is buzzing about. Like,
she
cutting Peggy
someone
Carter,
in two,
shreds Reed Richards into spaghetti.
By the way,
Black Bolt thing.
The Black Bolt thing was awesome. I thought that was great. I thought that Mr. Fantastic was in a horrific way, but I thought that was one of those things where I'm like, okay, I get it's a Raimi movie, but if you're gonna do it, do it. And I thought he did. I was do it. Go ahead. Go. Even the Xavier.
Oh God. Seeing Patrick Stewart die did something to me viscerally. I was like, no, protect that man. Don't die.
Die on screen, by the way, because like we've seen him die before in the X-Men movies, but like it was like kind of like
that was vicious.
You don't see it. That was like whoa.
She snapped his neck. Oh man, So I mean, they take Wanda to. I mean, she's more extreme than just about any Marvel villain we've had. Like, I think not since Loki was carving out people's eyes, like, with a scepter, like,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. But this this was especially brutal, and she was... And then just to have it all kind of the way it works out with America letting her get what she wants, and the kids being like, what is this? And her being like, oh, I'm not a crazy mom anymore. Sorry, guys, again. Like, you talk about redundancies. It's like Westview all over again. Westview Wanda just keeps going temporarily insane and then just being like, sorry, guys.
There's parts of that I understand.
Yeah.
We're both parents.
Yeah.
But kids will make you like.
No,
I
if
mean,
you lose a kid, I don't think like
I get it.
I get that. Yes,
Yeah.
that part I didn't question.
But
I mean, I
then
don't like
it's
the
like-
lines. I'm a mom, but like, yeah, I got
right.
that.
I don't like some of the execution, but like I understand the
Oh, yeah,
initial
yeah.
drive, right? And so I can suspend like, okay, you know what? I understand you're not in your right mind. It's just sometimes just the way it was kind of weaved in. I don't know where it leaves us.
Yeah.
I for her.
And I think the finale drops the ball big time because what you have in the finale is like, so you got the whole zombie Strange. He resurrects Defender Strange using the Darkhold powers, and he fights Wanda, but he doesn't do anything. He loses. It's America
Right.
who masters her powers. They don't use the word mutant, but obviously she's kind of a mutant in this, or something like that. And
Yeah.
she masters her powers, and she kind of ends it by controllingly taking Wanda back to 838 and letting the kids see her and kind of getting inside her head that way. But like, I feel like, again, the movie's original point would have been to have Strange and Wanda be like, look at us now. I'm a freaking dripping zombie.
Yeah.
You're going nuts with Ghostbusters monster like Gozer. Like, these are the choices we've made. Like,
Yeah.
and this is bad. And like, this is all.
But I love that. So that I love that. I just don't like how we got there.
No, but we didn't. I'm saying we didn't get there.
We didn't get there. Yeah, we didn't get that.
They didn't hit that.
But I like the idea. I like the
that's
concept.
what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if we make these choices, this is how we end
Yeah.
up. And like, if we can't, there is no good out of this.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to have a good family. You're not going to have kids. You're going to be. It was the same thing from the Supreme Strange from What If. It's
Yeah.
basically
And she
the
comes
story.
to a realization.
Yeah, exactly. So
You know, it's like, okay, so they're kind of halfway there. I'll give them half credit.
Yeah.
Like they got halfway there. I also love America's powers used in that way because I think
It
it
looked
ties it.
amazing
I think it
on
ties
screen.
it into the story too, and it's just how cool is that?
Oh
Right?
yeah! Every time they did the America when she used those portals, it looked
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Stars and how people got sucked in. It was
it's
scary. So like it was good.
it's cool.
Couple questions. Do you think we're going to get X-Men and Fantastic Four movies before or after a Secret Wars event? I mean, because you could do it several ways. I mean, you could start it in a different reality and eventually, I mean, just like Miles Morales, right? Like start it in Ultimate and then after Secret Wars, when you reformat everything, it's all in one X-Men universe. Because, I mean, and...
Well, number one right off the bat, I think we get a Fantastic Four one before we get X-Men.
yeah.
I think
Secret,
not even close.
because I think Secret Wars, I mean, Fantastic Four would have to lead into Secret Wars.
Yeah, so you launch that, and then that paves the way. You've got your kind of new big figures in place. Then you move into your event. That makes sense. Plus, they've already primed people with Krasinski, right? Oh, hey, look, that's Mr. Fantastic and whatever.
Yeah.
Now people are on the train. They're like, oh, we're going to get Fantastic Four. The hype is moving. Let's
And
do
he's
that.
clearly somebody who's studied the multiverse and is
Yeah.
in tune with it.
You know, and so
knows.
now you have a point of reference to point to. Like, hey, you remember him, right? So for people who aren't as familiar with the Fantastic Four.
I'd
so
love
get
them to
that.
flip it and have like the Maker be the one who saves. Oh my
God.
Like who
Okay,
builds the
well,
life raft.
I love the
and-
Baker.
yeah.
The Baker is a great
yeah, so
villain.
I think Fantastic Four will come first. I think X-Men will come after.
Yeah.
I
think it's still a minute
yeah.
before we get an X-Men.
But it was awesome that we got animated series Professor X in this movie.
Yeah, that was awesome.
From
with
the
freaking
animated
chair.
Yeah,
Oh my
the
God.
chair,
the yellow
outfit.
chair,
Even
the
when he did
outfit.
the psychic thing to get inside
Yeah,
Wanda's
that
head,
was
like it was
great.
just like the one from the show.
I
That was great.
thought they all actually looked great.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issues with
Your
any
girl
of that.
Nata-
Captain Carter was amazing.
Captain Carter's
Oh
amazing,
my
and the new
God.
Captain Marvel, Maria
Dude.
Rambeau's Captain
Good
Marvel.
for her, by the way.
She's nobody talks trash like Shauna Lynch
great,
on screen
man.
in Bond and in this.
She looked
just
great.
like, yeah.
And we were
She
right,
just
by
has
the
that
way. It
commanding
was Captain
thing,
Marvel.
Like, yeah, it was Captain
Yeah, it
Marvel.
wasn't Superior Iron Man.
No.
So we're gonna get to the post credits.
Yeah, so let's just knock this out, Rit, because I want to save time so you can do wrestling. Yeah, post-credit scene, which was weird. I'm not gonna. I want to know who filmed it, because it's such a weird thing. Because the movie ends with Stephen Strange, the status quo. He goes back. He's leaving the sanctum. He's just going for a walk in New York, and all of a sudden he feels this pain, and this third eye pops out of his forehead. It's a gross kind of Sam Raimi body horror ending, and you're like, oh, this is a major problem. The next scene, the post-credit scene, is Doctor Strange back on the street in New York, walking again, just normally, and no eye, and he's fine.
Yeah.
Until he runs into Clea, who is Charlize Theron, which is awesome. And she's like, yo, problems in Dark Dimension. You down? You scared? And he pops out the third eye, and the show's like, oh, now he's kind of in control of that. So that's a weird transition. Because the movie ends with a major problem. The post-credits like, it's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, that one. I didn't understand. I mean, granted, he's done that in the comics. He's had that, right? He's dealt with stuff like that, but like it felt random. That said, Clea is super hyped. Like if you're gonna end something like that and lead into the next thing, and get Charlize, oh my god! Yeah. And I did see it in the comments. How the heck they kept that
secret? Yeah.
Wow, kudos, because that no one spotted it filming.
I mean, lots happened. Pandemic. Yeah. I said everybody should be wary of what Marvel did when the pandemic.
Yeah, like that was well done.
Nobody knew what was happening.
But that having her open a thing to the Dark Dimension opens up so many things. Number one, it opens up Dormammu coming back.
Mephisto.
It does open up Mephisto. I'm not going there. Baby. No, I am not going down the Mephisto rabbit hole until I actually see some evidence of Mephisto. However, it is Dormammu's realm. Yeah. We still have established that like he's still there and in control, right? Clea, there's this big war between them. She's niece. Like there's so much stuff. Her romantic ties to Strange later on. That's a big thing, right? We even see her in the comics recently, right? Becoming Strange.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I want to touch on. Behind the scenes,
yeah,
I feel like just watching the press and everything, I know Benedict Cumberbatch is getting tired of
doing
this.
the Marvel rigmarole.
Yeah, of doing this. And I'm sure, and he even said, like, I think this one nearly kind of really did put him through the ringer, just trying to get this film in the canon out. I wouldn't be surprised if there's one more, some event possibly, and then we have to do.
And we bring her in as a sorcerer. I mean, here's the thing. She was, I mean, they've done interesting, I mean, Wong.
Yeah.
You know, you could, I don't know, I also felt that was kind of a little underserved. Like, oh, it's cool that he's in this position and then we don't really like do much with him. But I thought you got the shit. There are too many characters in this, honestly. That's probably it. There's probably too many characters trying to get screen time. That said, him going into the Dark Dimension, I think, is a really interesting, from where he leaves this movie, it's an interesting place to go next. Because you open up all these things, but as we said before, this doesn't bring a focus to the multiverse and to his adventures. This just opens them up more. I mean, now you just bring the floodgates open and...
Well, after this, I hope we get back to just these character-focused stories. Like, I hope it is something only Doctor Strange can do and it has nothing to do with anything else.
I'd be okay
Doctor Strange in the Dark Dimension,
just let it be them two.
Exactly. Make a whole thing. And I would love it to come full circle and have Doctor Strange not be able to get out of Dormammu this time with like some trick, and this time he actually has to make the sacrifice.
And I mean, at some point, Clea runs the Dark Dimension, and like she takes over, and then like there's this back and forth between her and Dormammu for control.
Ooh, I would love to swap that. I would love him to take her place and have to be down there because then Cumberbatch could eventually come back.
Right.
But she's
you have to fill the role.
And if they do it right, you could do that easily because if they fill her out, like, oh my God. If they expand her character in the next movie, they can have her, her whole tragic arc would be never be able to get out of here and be down there. And that would be like
I think that would be really interesting.
Yep.
And you don't close any doors. Marvel loves to do that.
Yep.
Like not shut the door completely.
Nope. But Cumberbatch gets a break. He's handling Dark Dimension. Clea comes and
who would
things.
Turn away from like Charlize as the lead in that?
Just talking trash as a new Sorceress Supreme.
And props to the suit, by the way, because it's like got that kind of vintage vibe. So I loved that. So the setup moving forward, there were some hiccups along the way. Yeah. I am excited for what comes next. This was a Wanda movie. This was a Wanda movie.
Yeah,
to me.
Yeah, and I hope she's not dead. I hope Wanda's not dead. Wonder Gore Mountain. We just got Wonder Gore Mountain.
There's no way she's dead.
No, but again, somebody hanging out Dark Dimension, you're hanging out under Wonder Gore Mountain. You get a couple years off. But all right, that's Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
The Multiverse of Madness. We're going to be back next week, and we'll address some of the fallout and see where people are falling. What are the big discussion topics? And I'm sure we'll have some to address, and especially since Janelle Wheeler will have seen it too.
Yeah.
All right.
She's going to flip her lid. I can't wait for her.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be so good. Yeah, I'm excited. So let's end things out with some WrestleMania Backlash, which is this Sunday night. Of course, WWE does one on Mother's Day. Does an event on Mother's Day. But you can end your Mother's Day celebrations with some wrestling. Here's the thing. This is a very interesting card because WrestleMania Backlash it's been a recent thing over the last 2 years. And so it's kind of / a running joke that you get a lot of rematches from WrestleMania or just kind of like one thing is different type of thing. This one has one title match across the entire card, which is going to be Charlotte Flair and Ronda Rousey. most people, and including me, expect Ronda to take that and start her run, because honestly, we were all shocked that she didn't take it at WrestleMania. That was a big, shocking retention by Charlotte Flair. So here, it kind of makes sense for Ronda to start her title run, get somebody else in here.
Damon Streams is calling it WrestleMania, the repeat.
I mean, look, it's not far off. Like, there are a lot of things. I mean, if you look across this card, it's not the most action-packed card. Like we say a lot about a lot of WWE pay-per-views, though, the ones that are kind of in between the big ones like SummerSlam and WrestleMania and like Hell in a Cell. We're going to come away probably going like, a lot of those matches were really good. Like, it was actually a pretty good event. It's just there's not as much hype going into it because there's just not a lot of risk. There's not a lot of stuff on the line. You're like, Roman is here, right? And the Bloodline is here, but it's a non-title match, and it's a trios match with, against Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. There's nothing on the line. Like, no one's gonna lose it unless they change that in a matter of days, which they could, but there's just nothing on the line for this. So again, that's kind of some of the things that will frustrate fans a little bit. If that becomes a trend of like, hey, if it's not in a big arena, or if we're not like making this a big focus, then we're gonna not really have any big title matches. And that just makes it less fun because there's less surprise. And also there's not like a big return out there like Cody. Now we will get Cody versus Seth Rollins too, which is gonna be fantastic. And Cody's return to WWE has been handled really well so far. And I think a lot of people were kind of skeptical, but so far, so good. And if another match against Seth Rollins, I'm good. Again, though, there's no title. There's no title on the line.
If you go back and watch our excellent interview with Adi Shankar, like a few episodes back, that man called that Cody Rhodes would be the next John Cena of wrestling, right before WWE got him back. Don't doubt my boy. All right, is that wrestling?
Almost. So one of the things is, who is next for Ronda? Because if she takes the title from Flair, obviously, yes, we will probably get a rematch at some point between them. But then you got to bring in someone new. You got to have someone doing that. Sasha Banks would be the number one go-to, but she is currently one half of the women's tag team champions with Naomi, which they're amazing. So you're probably not going to take the title off her just to get her into this. So I'm saying Bayley return. I've been hoping for a Bayley return for a minute now. She's evidently healthy. We got Asuka on Raw, which means Bayley's probably going to SmackDown. So if we get her as a big return, maybe here as a call out, and she's calling her shot against Ronda, that would go a long way to like helping this event be something like memorable at the end of it. But yeah, that's pretty much what's happening at Backlash.
All right, thank you guys. Real quick in mentions, I'm gonna just say a couple things in mentions. First, I mentioned it earlier, but seriously, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, fantastic premiere on Paramount Plus. It is a mix. If you don't know what it is, it's a prequel series to the original Star Trek series. It's about the Enterprise under the command of Captain Christopher Pike, who is played by Anson Mount, who's having a wonderful week because he launched a new Star Trek show and he shows up in Doctor Strange to bring some closure to Black Bolt in the right way. So shout out to Anson Mount and having a great week. But it's a mix. So it gives you this kind of mix of new Trek universe, but this very retro throwback Star Trek original series vibe. The first episode's excellent. It's about, a planet that's found out a weapon that could destroy themselves, and they're very much it's a metaphor for where we are as a divided culture these days, and some good Star Trek ideals to remember going forward. So it scratches that classic itch. It's good. Also, I'm going to shout out Atlanta. If you're not watching Atlanta season 3, wow, it is excellent. This week's episode had a little cameo in it. I don't think the biggest cameo of the week for me was Doctor Strange. It was Atlanta with a scene with Liam Neeson, which you have to see to believe. So Atlanta's still great. Donald Glover and them are killing it. Eternal star, Brian Tyree, and Spider-Man star, Across the Spider-Verse, Brian Tyree Henry. Good stuff. And that's it. Matt, you have anything you want to plug? Batman podcast.
Yes, I do want to. I haven't dipped into it yet. Batman Unburied, I believe is
we can invite everybody.
Podcast. But I'm excited to dip into it because that cast is amazing. What Audible's been doing with some of their podcast stuff. Marvel's been doing some good stuff too. But this one, I'm really excited to jump in. So I'm going to listen to that. hopefully for next show, we'll be able to, I think the first 2 episodes are out, I believe, on that. Also, I am starting The Staircase because I can't wait for that. HBO Max offering again, just killing it. I'm so stoked for that, and I don't know why. So I am going to jump into that this weekend.
All right, and that'll do it. Those are our recommendations for you guys. Those are our mentions. This is Comic Book Nation, your one-stop spot for all things geek culture. On behalf of Comicbook.com, you can find all our work on the site and all of our various channels if you want to join the podcast. Subscribe on Twitter at Comic Book Nation or on your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. If you want to keep with the visual portion of the show and look at our glorious looks, we stream live every Friday at noon on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And if you miss any of those live streams, it's okay. As soon as they're done, we load them up for you so you can just replay the episode right after that. And again, Sunday mornings, 9 Eastern Time, ET Live streaming on Paramount Plus. They have the Comic Book Nation segment, and they don't even cut us off. We get comics done and everything. It's amazing.
Buddy.
So thank you to all you guys helping to support that and keeping us going. This is Comic Book Nation. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Deuces.
Or in the multiverse.